So my first initial thought on the movie is that it's just freaking incredible.
Yeah, like I am very impressed with how it turned out. Like it looks so it looks so surgically done. Like it had all the references to a T, and like I enjoyed seeing every second. I like seeing all the references. I like the music; it was phenomenal.
Yes.
The acting was spot on, like especially for a kids movie. Like,
Yeah, no, I really don't. I am not a fan of Chris Pratt, not even a little bit, but he was phenomenal as Mario, and to hear him do like the legit Mario voice for that like 30 seconds in their little commercial thing that they did for their business, it's like, wow, like he actually can do it, and I'm glad it wasn't for the entire movie.
Yeah, one thing I was kind of worried about is, for the most part, animated movies when they feature like a A-list cast, they tend to just have them sound like themselves. I'm glad Chris Pratt actually tried to act like Mario, and it worked really well.
Yeah.
That one flaw though that I've noticed was like with what I said, like I kind of noticed that Seth Rogen was basically Seth Rogen. Like it sounded more like that than Donkey
Funny
Kong.
you mentioned that because I actually saw an interview of him like right before we went and watched the movie of him saying, "Yeah, no, I'm not a voice actor. So if you're paying me to come voice a character, it's going to be me. You know, I don't do that."
Yeah,
But even then though, it wasn't like Seth Rogen from like Kung Fu Panda where it's just like, wow, this is outrageously Seth Rogen. It was Seth Rogen toned down just a little bit. Like you got the signature laugh, and that was it. Other than that, he sounded just like a normal.
I was gonna be so upset if Seth Rogen laughed just like Seth Rogen. If he had that laugh like Donkey Kong going. It's just silly. I would not be able to handle it.
I'm not a big fan of Seth Rogen either, but I love his laugh. Every time I hear him laugh, I have to laugh because it's one of those things where like, wow, this is absolutely hilarious to me, so I have to laugh at it.
Yeah, it would be just like it would ruin Donkey Kong for me if he did though, because you hear it like in so many voices. I'm glad he didn't, but it would have ruined it for me. Jack Black, he did a great job as Bowser.
I think he was like the most perfectly casted person in that movie.
Yeah, and you can tell like he loves to sing. Like spoilers ahead of time, he sings, but like he.
Well, I mean, he is part of the greatest band in the world.
Yeah, he is part of the greatest band in the world, Tenacious D. But he did a good job as Bowser. He had I don't know if he lowered his tone or they lowered his tone when post processing, but he sounded like a menacing villain instead of just some comedic guy.
He has such a wide and incredible vocal range that it's not even funny. Like he probably has one of the biggest vocal ranges in all of music right now.
Okay, of course he's very talented. I'm glad they picked him over like anybody else, considering like it's a Illumination film.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a lot of good chemistry when it comes to the cast, so it wasn't like there was any conflicting idea of what this movie ought to be.
Yeah.
It's great if they ever make a sequel because they know it'll work, because you don't see that happen so often. People like some movies, people just don't want to work with each other, but it seems like they did a great job with this.
Mm-hmm.
The pacing of the movie, though, I gotta bring up. It's well paced for a kids movie, but I feel like it leaves a bit to be desired if you're like going there as like a Mario fan more than just a kid who likes video games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at it and you see all the bright colors and all the fun video game things. Like, yeah, a little kid's gonna be able to recognize that because Mario games are for children. But if you're going into that movie with the mindset of, oh, wow, this is for me. I'm a Mario fan. Then it's not for you.
It's
like you have to go in with the mindset of, yes, I'm a Mario fan. Yes, this is for Mario fans, but this is also geared towards children.
Like the target demographic.
Yes.
Like it's a weird like position for a Mario fan. Like either you're on the bandwagon of you need more of this is not enough, you want more of it, or they did something like wrong, like with like how like whatever Mario canon there is. Like I know like there's some maybe discrepancies if you probably like played all the Mario games, but I think this is very much like a well how do I put it, well crafted movie that caters to the canon.
It has a little bit of everything for everybody.
That's basically what it is,
which I think is great, and they're definitely going to be able to expand upon it into a sequel and maybe other spinoffs. I'm really, really hoping for a Smash Brothers movie.
A Smash Brothers movie. Are they going to pull off like a Smash Brothers like cinematic universe? I mean,
I hope so. Look,
could you imagine Illumination doing like Metroid or Legend of Zelda too?
Look, dude, I think those would be phenomenal. Like, imagine if they adapted like Ocarina of Time.
Who would be the voice cast for like Link?
Oh God, I don't know.
It could pull off like a Wallace and Gromit thing, maybe. Just have him be quiet, like have Navi be the one talking the whole time.
I mean, that'd work.
I mean, it could. It's just that this was great. I just don't know what else they can do with it. Maybe bring in like another villain, but maybe Wario.
So I think Wario, Waluigi, those would be great to bring in for a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the possibilities really are endless with this, because you can do so much. Because there's 30 years worth of Mario video games that they can just kind of pick and choose from.
Yeah.
And then all that. But I think ultimately this could lead up to a Smash Bros. Movie.
I mean, if they try, they can pull it off for sure.
They just have to get the rights to Pokemon from Warner Brothers.
I mean, it could happen, but I think they can. If there's a will, there's a way.
Yes,
like, definitely. If they did it, if Marvel can do it with like Spider-Man and have a deal with Sony, they can do it with this.
Oh yeah.
One thing I've noticed for sure, though, like before the movie came out, I was actually a little bit skeptical, namely because I saw the movie, I saw the Rotten Tomatoes review for the critics, and it was like I think it was 54%.
Look, if you're going into a movie and the first thing you do is go on to Rotten Tomatoes, you're an idiot. I'm sorry, but like critics do not ever score children's movies or animated movies, for that matter, very well. They always score them very low because they're oh well, this is just horrible because the pacing's bad. It's like, no, the pacing is perfect. It's a children's movie.
I mean, like I get it. I mean, like it's like I don't know what the critics are expecting if they're looking for like something akin to like Titanic or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, not everything has to be Oscar worthy.
Yeah, sometimes something just has to be fun. If you can't have fun, that's their problem.
Yeah, that's what the MCU.
But it made me wonder what got them so upset about this movie. And like,
I don't know, but if you look at the audience score, it's at like a 96.
Yeah, everyone loves this movie. If the I think the 4% are the 50% of like critics.
Yeah, no, they're just like, I hate Rotten Tomatoes with a passion.
Yeah,
because they are never fair with their scoring. Like, you look at Thor Ragnarok and it got like a 96%, and if you know anything about the character of Thor, that is not what he's like at all, not even a little bit. Taika, whatever his name is, completely ruined the character.
Like, I have a feeling like with places like Rotten Tomatoes, people are really just looking for someone to listen to when it comes to like assessing the quality of movies, because nowadays people these studios pump out movies that are obviously like either garbage or just money making machines or whatever, and it's like you can't really trust them because they all have one opinion and that's it when it comes to any movie, and if it doesn't cater to that opinion, then it's always like trash to them. Or it could have been like they probably had good reviews, but how the point system works makes it a bad review technically when it wasn't really.
But I love the movie. I never look at Rotten Tomatoes because it's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, I can get that. But if I was just an average Joe and didn't know about how like movie critics review stuff or like how things should be assessed, that is something to worry about, though.
Yeah,
like because people do miss out on movies because they read reviews, and unfortunate as it is, I mean, as dumb as some of those people are, it's true, and it can mess.
Well, it's one of those things where you just go watch the movie. Like if you're curious about it, even a little bit, go see it.
Yeah, like don't
go see a matinee of it. Like that's what we did.
I mean, like, and if you don't want to see the movie now, go just see it later when it's on on DVD or Blu-ray, whatever's out now.
Streaming on your favorite service.
Yeah, see it. Like, ask a friend to copy off their VHS tape and just watch it on that.
How old are you?
I'm old enough to know what a VHS tape is, right? Anyway, like, one thing
those things haven't been around in 20 years, Chris.
There's nothing. I still use it.
What is wrong with you?
What? They're good.
You're insane.
You're insane.
Anyway, so I loved Rainbow Road. I thought
that whole scene was actually like I thought it was just gonna be like a little skit with the Mario Karts. Spoilers is Mario Karts too. I mean, they's in the trailer, so you can see them.
Yeah.
But they put a lot of like thought in how each of the items work and how each of the characters acted, and it's great how they utilize very small things like to their fullest potential. And they kind of do it throughout the entire movie. Like there's always these little references down to like the soundtrack that you hear these jingles that happen in multiple different games,
and you just like kind of perk up. Hey,
like I know that. I know that song. Like I think during the time when they went to there's gonna be spoilers in this review, but like when they went to the Kong Kingdom and when they saw the gates, and then you suddenly hear like the Jungle Japes theme, like da 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 da, and it's like that's exactly what it is.
When Donkey Kong comes out and they do the
Donkey Kong rap, the DK rap.
DK.
I didn't think they would do that. I love that rap. It's so cheesy, but it's so DK.
Good.
Like it's absolutely meant for that.
Yes.
I think Peach is a very important character, and I think it was actually pulled off well.
I actually kind of liked how they made her. It's gonna sound kind of bad. More useful. Because I know what you mean. So like, go back to the Mario 64. You have to rescue Peach because she can't do anything for herself. Like in this movie, like they made her like she trains Mario on how to do all of the Mario things.
But one thing I like the most though is that it didn't make Peach's presence and how she was in the movie did not make Mario useless as a character. Like
yes.
He was very needed because he's Mario, he's a hero. And like when they pulled off the fact that Peach kind of needed to be like rescued in a way, it wasn't because she couldn't do it. It was because as a ruler, she needed to worry about her kingdom, like her people, the Toads. And it's like, I thought that was well pulled off. It didn't make her like seem weak in the slightest. It would just showed a matter of like urgency to go like save the day for Mario, and like Mario actually like knew how to fight, so it wasn't like he was just like weak. He was just in another world, which is great.
Honestly, I kind of love like there's a little bit of a Rocky aspect to Mario. Have you ever seen Rocky?
Yeah.
Okay. So like every time he gets knocked down, he gets right back up, and I love that. But it's like yes, he is like
he's a fighter through and through. Like
he's the ultimate underdog.
Yeah, he like straight up from Brooklyn.
Exactly. I have family from Brooklyn, so that's exactly how they are.
Oh, yeah. Well, I do have to make one critique. It's kind of unrealistic, the movie, in the sense that Brooklyn, I never seen Brooklyn be so clean of a city. Like, it was squeaky clean. Like, you saw, like, it was like no cars either.
I went to New York a few years ago. My college choir, we went and performed at Carnegie Hall. New York is much cleaner than most movies depict it being.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah, it was. I mean, I wouldn't say like the streets clean enough to eat off of.
Where's Carnegie Hall exactly? Manhattan, right?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
Dude, that was 5 years ago.
See, like, I went to New York once for like a few days. I must have went on the worst days, considering there was probably a lot of garbage not being picked up. Probably because it was garbage day, but the place smelled. A lot of places were, it was clean, but it smelled. I don't know how to describe it, but like it was a city.
I mean, I did see a homeless guy poop on the street.
Oh, I've seen plenty of homeless people. I thought that was just part and parcel. I just kind of accepted, like, this is going to be homeless people.
But no, like,
it's a city.
No, movies, I think, give New York a bad light. It's much cleaner than, like the OG Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies.
Right.
Like, they depict New York as being, like, disgusting, but it's not.
I think the reason why they did that, they made it look that way in those movies, was because they wanted to have, like, an sort of anti-pollution stance, especially in the Ninja Turtles. Yeah. So, like, they had this, like, theme to relate to the real world that people can want to support. Nowadays, it's not about that, so they probably don't worry about making the place look trashy, because they want to make... If you're trying to portray a city, like, I'm sure the city wants it to look nice.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would go back to New York. I wouldn't live there, but I'd go back. That place is expensive. My wife really wants to go back.
Like, if you haven't been to a city, there's something that feels really good about waking up maybe like 2 o'clock in the morning because you're hungry, and you just go walk across like the street to the convenience store and getting something. Yeah. And going back, and it just feels nice.
I just walked to my kitchen.
Oh yeah, but when you don't have stuff, when you don't have what you want, you could do it. It's not like you have to drive.
I wait.
Yeah,
it's not that important.
See, listen, there's a convenience. I mean, you don't need it, but you wish you had it.
I also don't wake up in the middle of the night hungry.
That's true. That's because I forget to eat sometimes. That's why. It's like, crap, I forgot to eat. I got to eat. So, one thing I really liked about the dynamic between Mario and Bowser, it reminded me a lot about Popeye and Bluto in a way.
Yeah. Mario's with Peach. Bowser's jealous. Bowser wants Peach. Rivalry.
Yeah, and it's like you can tell like he's just like super jealous of Mario, even though like there's nothing going on between Mario and Peach. He's just like very light. But Mario, they just met literally, but he's just like seething over the fact that Mario exists as a competitor. And spoilers again, Bowser loses, but the way he got beat up by Mario and Luigi actually was like, it was very much like
I did kind of hate that part. The entire time Luigi's kind of like running around like a little chicken with his head cut off, scared of everything, and then at the end,
now
Luigi's got some balls now.
Yeah, he's squaring up now. But it's like, I wish there was maybe like some scenes maybe where Luigi was like running around in a mansion and maybe learning to like scrap with like all the villains he comes across, but he eventually gets caught. But there's no development for Luigi. He's just being like supported by Mario.
He's the scaredy cat, and then all of a sudden he's the hero.
Yeah. Like, I wish there was maybe like some development saying like he can fight, but maybe not Bowser right now. And that was the case. It seems like Mario developed, but Luigi like literally relies on Mario to develop. And I hope in a sequel they go back to that and maybe like show Luigi like saving the day.
Yeah, or have him do like the training course that Mario did, because Luigi became a really big part of those games later on.
Like he's always been in the games. It's the Super Mario Brothers. Like in Mario 2, he was his own character. He had his own abilities and stuff. Like Luigi's Mansion, he was the protagonist. He was literally the hero.
God, I remember playing Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube when that game came out. That was one of my all-time favorite games.
I had fun playing it, but I was so caught up in playing like games like there was this one for the GameCube. It was a horror game, Sanity's Requiem, I think it was, Eternal Darkness, and that was just way more scary. Like,
never heard of it.
So it's this game where like it has a sanity thing where if the meter goes too low, it messes with your TV. It's like it'll make it look like it's deleting your save game and everything like that. And it was like, it terrified me. It's like, I'm not doing this or whatever. But It's one of Nintendo's games.
Yeah, other than that, that's really about the only criticism I have of the movie is Luigi just kind of like all of a sudden, oh, I'm a hero now. I can help my brother. Like, okay, where was that like 5 minutes earlier when you were running around like a little girl?
Yeah, I mean, like, it could have extended it a little bit more in terms of pacing, which is, like, my main critique is just, like, how it's paced. Because it could have been a bit longer. Again, it's, like, wasn't enough for me.
Another, like, 10 minutes.
Like, 2 extra scenes, maybe. Yeah. Like, of just showing Luigi, like, developing as a character, or maybe just extend, like, showing the world about how it is. Because, when you see, like, the whole like movie, you realize that they don't show too much of like the world of Mario or the Mushroom Kingdom or anything. It shows like just them as motifs rather than like actual like places with fleshed out like creatures and landscapes.
Yeah.
So you don't see too much, and that's one thing I kind of don't like. It doesn't show how much they traveled. Also with the references, I know they're supposed to be everywhere, and like you gotta look out for them, but it feels like very much like if you blink you'll miss it, and like I kind of just want to take a second to just digest, but that's just me as a viewer.
Yeah. So if you had to pick the first spin-off of this movie that's not like a direct sequel but will eventually tie in, what character are you going with?
Wario.
Yeah.
I like Wario. Maybe, you know what? I take that back. I could see a movie with Donkey Kong and K. Rool like coming in. Maybe like a prequel to like the whole Kong Kingdom. Maybe like before it was like this giant kingdom. It was just the
explain
Kongs.
How they're the strongest.
Yeah, how they became. Yeah. If you don't know about Donkey Kong lore, there's this villain called King K. Rool, and he has like high tech like grenades and stuff going against Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, and they were just apes, but they still beat the crap out of them. But over time, when you play the Donkey Kong games, they get more technology. Like they have bazookas and stuff, like different characters coming in. I think there was like a Kong War. I don't know the details, but there was actually another rival Kong group that they had to fight. There was a whole war with that. But it's all in like I think the game manuals, but the games, Donkey Kong Countries like 1, 2, and 3 were really good. Donkey Kong 64 I really liked, but I haven't played the newest ones, which I'm actually very interested in.
So I think a Donkey Kong movie would be great. I think they really need to expand, like maybe go to Zelda.
I'm so scared bringing up Zelda just because I'm worried how they can screw this up. That's the pessimist in me, like looking this is Hollywood.
That was everyone's big thing with how Mario is going to be, and yet here we are talking about how great it is.
They just got to get people who like Legend of Zelda to do it, and that's basically it.
Honestly, that's what I think Illumination did a great job. As you can tell, the people who made this movie are fans of Mario, because like throughout the entire movie, you see like, oh hey, that's a reference to the original games with how everything is set up. Oh wow. Rainbow Road, Mario Kart.
Yeah, they did.
I still think in Florida here where we're at, you should have to be able to drive Rainbow Road without falling off to get a driver's license.
I mean, like that's gonna get a lot of people like not driving, which will actually be a good thing. I think.
Exactly.
You know what? I agree with that.
It's insane.
Yeah, DeSantis like pass that bill once it reaches your table. I hope. But like, what was it? I was gonna say something related to Rainbow Road. Or no, Zelda. One thing I am worried about mostly is just because Illumination does make kids movies, so. But I'm just worried they won't make a movie with a different tone, because all the movies are very light-hearted. For the most part, I know they have some sad scenes, but it's just a little bit of this, obviously like a comedic movie. Yeah. I wonder how would they handle a serious movie. And that's kind of what makes me worried about it.
Well, I think it'd end up being a lot better than you think it would be. Because, yeah, you're a little bit of a pessimist.
I mean, like, I've been burned by too many movies. Like, I don't know. I've seen a few of the Marvel movies, for example, kind of burned me out. Seeing some of the Star Wars prequels. See, I haven't caught up yet, but the prequels kind of, like burned me out.
Like with Obi-Wan and Anakin and all those?
Mostly
Like
with like
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace for the most part.
I don't understand everyone's critiques with that one.
It just
I love
seemed off key.
I love the
I don't
prequels.
like the
People can say what they want. They're great movies.
the vibe between 4 and 6 and Episode 1 was just so jarring to me, and it's hard for me to take it in.
You gotta look at it as, one, completely different movies. Two, completely different eras of filmmaking and times of that universe. You can't look at it as, oh wow, that you could just directly compare them, because they're not the same. Whereas, you look at the original trilogy as opposed to the latest trilogy, and they essentially just tried to remake the original trilogy and did a piss poor job of it.
Right. Like, I remember seeing Force Awakens. It's obviously like a one-to-one like copy of
A New Hope.
New Hope, and like it's nothing bad in and of itself, but it seems like a lot of that kind of protects it from critique. Because if you're critiquing Force Awakens, you're gonna end up critiquing New Hope in terms of like how it's structured.
Well, yeah, but they could have just gone with the source material instead of trying to come up with their own stuff. And by own stuff, I mean redoing what had already been done.
Yeah. So like, I hope with the next Mario movies, if they ever make any more, they should stick with the source material, which is actually very easy because there's not a lot to screw up as long as you have like the new villain, which is already established, and you just have these worlds there. You can do a lot with that. But like for example, Star Wars, like there's so much stuff that was already fleshed out, like in books and the like, that they have so much material they can redo as a movie, and they just decided to scrap it all. Thank goodness. One thing I'm very happy though with the Mario movie was like Miyamoto was basically watching this movie like a hawk and making sure they never stepped out of beat, because if you give a studio like any sort of leeway, they're going to take advantage of that leeway. And I'm not to say Illumination would have done anything bad, for example, but if they screwed this up, like it's going to end up being like another video game movie that failed.
Well, luckily, I think this is, out of all the video game movies that they've done, I think the best ones are the Mario movie that just came out and the two Sonic movies.
Yeah, and you know what? I think the reason why this is the case is because back then when movies were being made of video games and they were horrible, was because video games were a fairly new phenomenon, and now people have grown up with those games, and now they're making movies that they understand what it means to stay faithful to like the...
Yeah, because they've seen people fail at it, and they're like, well, the issue is you're not sticking to the source material. If you just would have had these few things in your movie, it would have been successful. Like the original Mario movie that came out in the 90s.
Yeah.
Look, Bob Hoskins, great choice for Mario. John Leguizamo, good choice for Luigi. They look nothing like brothers, but
they were great for the position.
Yeah, they would have been great with a better movie. Had they just done a few extra little things, like not make Bowser some
corporate executive,
corporate wannabe
Trump
humanoid mob boss.
Yeah.
And gone with the giant dragon turtle thing.
They had a perfect chance to do that too in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, we're not going to compare this Mario movie to the first Mario movie. They are night and day different. They might as well be different movies. But here's my thing with the first Mario movie. I do like the cast. I like the setting. I like the props. I just think it was bad because it was Mario. If it was anything else, it probably would have been good.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I'm a huge fan of movies that are really bad that they end up being good because you enjoy how bad they are.
I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just have fun because I get to see, like, how you can screw up a movie. But the movie's just very interesting. Like, of all the video game movies I've seen, that one went most off-keister with the tone and the setting. like, I never thought I would mix Mario with Blade Runner for the most part. It's
Yeah.
very much like Blade Runner, like a dystopian, like cyberpunk-esque thing with Goombas and Koopas.
And that's the problem. They tried making everything technological instead of just like,
just make it like
where's
fun.
the mushrooms, man?
Yeah, there's no like the mushrooms are like the nets of like mycelium like hanging from the thing. It's like this weird thing where everything's like moist and gross, but never about actual mushrooms. It was just like weird, but I understand it. I mean, like, you have to like
honestly, like the new Mario movie that we just saw. I think they did a great job with showing the mushrooms,
like
and like. You eat the red mushroom, Mario gets huge.
yeah.
You eat the blue one, you shrink. You have the fire flowers,
And
whatever the actual technical.
it's
name
fire
is.
flower.
Ah, perfect.
Yeah. Like, the thing is, like, what's great is that they don't really explain, like, oh, we gotta explain how this works and stuff like that. I'm glad they didn't do that. Because it's a video game logic. It just, you eat the red one, it makes it grow big. Eat the blue one, it makes it go small. Eat the fire one, it gives you fire. It's like, it just...
That's probably what the critics' problem is with it. There's like, oh, well, they're just not explaining anything. I need to know how these things work. Like, okay. Or...
you just accept it.
just watch it and accept it.
Or-
It's pretty self-explanatory.
I'm sorry, you need a course in, like, Mario Biology 101 to understand how a fire flower shoots fire. Like,
Just
I'm
watch
sorry.
it and appreciate it.
I mean, like, stuff like having that explained is like how the Force was explained away in, like, the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it ruins the magic. You gotta let the magic happen. You gotta leave it open to, like, you don't know the possibilities. But, like, I'm glad they didn't. I don't think kids would be interested in like, explanations.
No. That's what makes kids turn their brains off, is not paying attention. Just make it fun and enjoy it.
One thing that, speaking of fun, I find it suspiciously interesting, in a good way, that the Mushroom Kingdom looks suspiciously like the Nintendo Land Park in, like, Universal. It looks very much like Nintendo Land.
That was probably the plan.
Like, I feel like, we have a new park coming out for Mario, but it needs some merchandise more than just what Nintendo has now. I wonder how they could get that. I mean, it's a good timing. I'll put it that way. I mean, like, it's not a bad thing at all. I'm just saying it's very strategic, but I'm very happy about it.
This is going to make me sound a bit like a jerk, but not much gets past you, does it?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I can't be the only one who's seen it. That's the thing. Like, it looks exactly like the park.
That's the point.
I'm just wondering.
So, like,
you see
people start to see stuff about the parks. Like, wow, that looks like the kingdom from the Mario movie. That's going to get kids excited. That's going to make kids beg, scream, whatever to make their parents take them there.
I'm happy about it because
it's just blow their money on all the Mario stuff.
I mean, I'm happy about it because
Product placement.
Yeah, it's not just product placement because there's Mario. He's basically as big as Mickey Mouse at this point. But it's like, it's well done how they plan this all
I think
over
Mario is
time.
worth a little bit more money than the mouse.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, I think less people know more about Mickey Mouse than they do Mario. Like, Mickey Mouse is just a motif compared to Mario.
Yeah, so like now I know Disney's going into their 100th anniversary. I couldn't tell you really anything about Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, like he had cartoons. He is the face for Disney.
My wife can tell you all that stuff because she loves. That's what she loves. I couldn't tell you any of that. I know Mario premiered in video games in like 1985.
Yeah. Like, what was his first game? Was it Donkey Kong, or was it like...
I think the first villain of Mario was Donkey Kong.
I heard an interpretation that Mario was a villain. I'm not sure. It was weird.
Oh yeah, that's one of those fun theories.
Yeah.
There's several of those that Bowser and Peach are actually like in love with each other or something, and Mario keeps taking her away from him because he thinks Bowser's the bad guy.
Yeah,
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's people come up with some crazy stuff.
But that's what I like. That shows that they're interested in it.
Yeah.
I mean, like...
Makes it more fun.
Yeah.
You think they'll make a Kirby movie?
I don't know how they would. Maybe it could be like a single movie about like just showing like all of it at once and that's it. I don't see it having sequels.
Oh, yeah, no. I think Kirby would have to be a one-off. Like, I think they could do a really cool Pokemon movie with Illumination. I think Illumination would knock that out of the park.
Oh, yeah. Like, one thing about Kirby, there's a lot of lore explanation, and a lot of it ends up extending to becoming, like, cosmic horror, if you actually look into it. But in a way, it's actually really nice that they can do these, like, villains for Kirby that are actually so... can be scary if you think about it, but they make them so, like, adorable for kids.
Yeah.
And it can work out. I think they can make a movie for Kirby for sure. For Pokemon, Illumination would do a great job with that. I just wonder what kind of movie they would make with Pokemon. Because it's huge. It's a huge franchise.
Huge.
It's huge.
Huge. God, that would be great. Now we're going to have to we're going to have to talk about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could probably talk for like 3 hours about that one.
Like, I want to, I mean...
They'd have to do it with Red. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
Ash.
it has to
I
be
love
like
Ash, but they'd have to do it with Red.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they could make their own universe. You know, I keep going back to Zelda. They can make an entire universe about just that area.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, Pokemon's so big with, like, its settings.
How big is it?
I mean, it's... I'm not even going to finish out. It's a huge franchise. It's a huge world. There's so many, like, countries. It's, like, I think it's 1,000 Pokemon they have in
Pokedex they have. Yep, they officially crossed 1,000 with Gen 9. It's Goldengo.
You'll never have any room for anything that isn't a reference. So, hi. But yeah, I don't. They can make like a whole own series with that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I honestly think for now, I just want to see maybe like what they're gonna do with like the sequel to Mario.
So I think they need to make a sequel to Mario, just to really make sure, like, yeah, this is gonna stick, and then they can start spreading out. Honestly, what I'd love to see in a sequel is Wario and Waluigi breaking Bowser out of prison.
That would be a good one. Like maybe that could be the sequel. Yeah. Honestly, like, and it's not like they're just nasty guys. They're not really like doing it for an overarching plot. They probably just want to get rich, and that's it. Which I would love to see, just like Wario and Waluigi being Wario and Waluigi.
And just the reaction of Mario and Luigi seeing essentially evil versions of themselves. I'd love to see that dynamic. Who would you cast for that?
That's a tough question.
Honestly, if Jack Black wasn't so freaking phenomenal as Bowser, I would say he would be perfect as Wario.
One thing it would be interesting. I don't think it'll work. I just kind of want to see both Chris Pratt and Charlie Day play Wario and Waluigi, just like in different tones. Just try it.
Oh yeah,
it was just them talking to themselves, like being villains to themselves. Or it'll be hilarious. They could probably do it, but I want to know how they sound, because if they sound like Mario and Luigi, or they're gonna end up sounding like Chris and Charlie, I don't know, because they sound they just gotta hold their noses like, yeah. It's that easy. But like, they could do that. If it's that easy, why don't they do it?
That would be really good. All right, so I think we can wrap things up here.
Oh yeah.